All right, well, we've got a lot of things going on, and if you thought it would be a boring ho-hum Friday, well, you needed to wake up and look at what was happening down at ASU this morning as the pro-Palestinian protests came to the Valley and came to ASU this time. Add that to the list of dozens of colleges and universities around the country. Maybe the East Coast has had a lot more, but we saw issues at USC and UCLA as well, down in Texas at UT Austin. But joining us right now is KTAR's own Heidi Hommel, who waded into the mouth of the dragon today, and you were down there at ASU and actually saw what was going on. First off, give me a sense of how many people are actually protesting. Was it 3?
No, a little more than that.
Okay.
I got down there around 10 a.m. and there was about 100 to 200 maybe.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, it was pretty large, and they had, when I got there, the tents were not all up. They were kind of thrown about the lawn. So I got there a little bit after the action, and I was talking to some people, and they told me that, the police officers, they forcibly removed some tents, some of the canopies.
They'd already kind of swept through.
Yep.
Oh.
And I heard that 4 people were arrested, 2 students, 2 not students, but that's just what someone there told me, one of the organizers. We have yet to get that confirmed by ASU PD or Tempe PD. But, then I was down there for like 5 hours, and things kind of calmed down. There was a huge police presence at first in the early morning, about 40 to 50 cops, like a lot. And then there were, police cars surrounding the lawn around Old Main. But then things kind of died down. I saw a police officer exchange words with one of the pro-Palestinian protesters. He had a big flag, and he was, they were trying to get him to leave. The officer stayed very calm and was saying...
They were trying to negotiate with him, Heidi.
Yes.
Okay.
And you're not allowed to have tents there. Obviously, you can't camp on the lawn in Old Main.
Yeah.
So, and they...
let's face it, if you could, a lot of parents would be like, you're going to camp. You're not going to
How
those
much is
fancy
it for a
dorms.
camp?
You're going to camp.
How much is it for a tent for my kid?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So some faculty were even, looking on from the outskirts, but those protesters, they're staying put. They're not moving. By the time I left, a lot of the police had left. There was just a handful of officers standing about 100 yards away, and they kept the cars around the perimeter, I think, for safety reasons and to keep an eye on things. But they were bringing in tons of flats of water and a big wagon full of boxes of pizza. So,
okay. So it was a bit of a party.
Well,
it sounds like a tailgate at this point.
It sounds like a tailgate, but let's just put it this way. This is not going to last very long in Arizona. I'm checking the numbers, and that's, the numbers from the forecast.
Yeah.
And as soon as it hits like 90-something, it's over.
Right. Yeah, you're not going to be doing that. By the way, this is not an exaggeration, and I'm not meaning it as a joke. They released their list of demands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the protesters that Heidi was in amongst this morning, I'm going to read through 8 demands. Are you ready? Are you sitting down? These are the protesters' demands. Number 1, ASU release an official statement condemning the Zionist genocide of Palestinians. Number 2, ASU disclose all investments made with student tuition money. Number 3, ASU divest from all companies tied to the state of Israel or complicit in the occupation of Palestine. Number 4, ASU President Michael Crow resign immediately. I can't even say it without laughing. Number 5, ASU end all research exchanges, student and professor, and any partnerships with universities and companies in Israel. Number 6, abolish the ASU police. Like that's going to happen. Sorry, that's my editorial. And end the surveillance and harassment of students expressing solidarity with Palestine. Number 7, professional, academic, and legal amnesty for all students and faculty who have been disciplined or fired for speaking out for Palestinian liberation. Number 8, ASU reinstate Mecca and stop all investigations on pro-Palestinian student groups. I think their list of demands maybe shows you how unserious they are, because that is an unserious list of demands. Like you could have a fervently held belief in the plight of the Palestinian people, but demanding that they get rid of the ASU police department and the president of the university is an unserious place to start.
Yeah, and
where's that negotiation start?
And it didn't look like the police wanted to forcibly remove anyone. Some of the videos we've been seeing from Columbia and was it University of Texas, it kind of seemed like the police just wanted to keep a watchful eye from the outskirts and like a war of attrition, hoping they'll just get tired, run out of food and water, and go home.
Interesting. I got to think that here and I don't know that you would have picked this up. Again, KTAR's Heidi Hommel, who was down there with the protesters this morning. How many of them are, I'm going to use the term, true believers? And they exist. And how many are like, I don't know, it seems like kind of a cool thing to get into. I saw a TikTok video, and yeah, I'm with you guys.
Well, let me tell you, in the very few interviews I did, because not a lot of them wanted to go on the record and be interviewed by me, and the ones I did interview didn't seem like they had their points, well communicated.
Okay.
And then some counter protesters eventually showed up.
Okay, so pro-Israel protesters.
Pro-Israel protesters, maybe like less than 10, but some of them had the big blue and white Israeli flags, and they were they were standing across from the encampment and proudly holding the flag. And then I interviewed that gentleman. His name was Isaac. He's an ASU student who's graduating in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And he said there is a lot of misinformation going around. Like, these people don't totally know what this war is about or enough about Israel, in his opinion. And so that's an interview you can catch Monday morning on KTAR.
Oh, what a tease.
Well, I mean, the thing is that we have to remember this was provoked. They didn't just all of a sudden invade Gaza.
Right. Well, and I think one of the problems is, and far be it from me, and none of us want a history lesson on roots of rage in the Middle East, because we're going to be here through Sunday if we start that conversation. But it's at the tit for tat stage where no one can tell you who started it and when. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, well, this is because of October 7th. And they go, well, this is because of what you did there. Well, that's because you did that. Well, that's only because we're responding to, like, it's literally at that point where I don't have a dog in the fight. I wish innocent people weren't killed. How's that? I
think we're all in agreement
my stance.
for that.
I don't think innocent people should be killed, but terrorists are fair game. And it just seems that the anti-war, they want to call themselves anti-war protesters. Are they really anti-war? Or are they just anti-Israel war? Do you know what I'm saying? We're not. Well, Hamas fires to this very minute. Hamas is firing missiles into Israel. The fact that they're just not very good at war isn't Israel's fault. Israel's just better at it.
And let's think about this. Like, Syria, let's not forget Syria
Oh, yeah.
in the middle of a civil war.
Absolutely.
And like the Houthis.
You got Lebanon, you got Yemen.
The whole...
It's a hornet's nest.
How come nobody's protesting that?
Yeah, good point. They're involved as well. But they are hostile towards Israel. Like, everybody talks anti-war, and I'm like, well, are you anti-war on both sides or just anti-war on the one side? Heidi Hommel, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching Outspoken with Bruce and Gatos. Tap to watch more from KTAR News and click the button in the middle to subscribe.